Hi everyone. So this is a continuation of my Openstack Juno series. So in the last video, I walked through the Openstack Juno installation. So in this, I will cover basic dashboard usage along with Nova and Cinder services. So here I've already logged into the dashboard. So let's walk through some of the major things here. So I think this section shows the different projects or the tenants. In this case, there's admin and demo. These are the two projects that's created by default, and we have logged in as admin user. So that's what it shows here. So let's first walk through the admin tab, and then we'll come through the project tab. So admin tab allows kind of settings that is applicable for all users. Um, so this is like setting what images are allowed, what flavors are allowed, and stuff like that. So let's look at first the system information. So this gives basically all the services that are currently running. So here we started off with, so here we have pretty much all the services including Noah, which is the compute, Cinder and S3 for the storage, Heat for the orchestration, and then we have Keystone for the authentication, Ceilometer for the measurement, and Glance for the image management. So next we'll look at what are the networks that are created by default. There is one which is the public network, and then there is another private network that is created by default. There is one router that is available that connects the private to the public network. In terms of what are the flavors available, so the flavors are like what are the size of the compute instance that includes RAM, the root disk. So these are the flavors that are created by default. If needed, we can add a new flavor with a custom RAM size and the hard disk size, and the hypervisors that are present by default. So currently we are running it with one particular host. So that particular host is listed in the available hypervisor list. And one more important thing is the images list. This basically tells what are the images that are available to spawn the VMs. Um, so basically you have an Ubuntu, Fedora, as well as a Ceros, which is the bare minimal image that is present. The resource usage gives a snapshot of the usage itself. So we'll walk through the project tab. So the first one is the compute tab. So here we can create instances, we can create volumes, and here we can manage the security groups as well as the key pairs and stuff like that. So under the network we see the network topology. So we would see one private network, one public network, and that's connected through a router. The object store is for uh, object store management, um, and so to demonstrate the basic use case for Nova, we'll create two instances and we'll try to ping between these two instances. As a first step, what we'll do is we'll create a key pair which allows us to SSH to the instance. For that, we go to the access security key pairs. So let's call it as a key pair 1, and we will save this key pair locally. Okay, once that is done, what we'll do is we'll allow access to the instance both from you know ICMP as well as TCP for SSH connection. So for that, we go to the security groups and we manage, we edit the rules here. So we'll add two rules, one for all ICMP and another we'll add for all TCP. So this would allow basically the SSH traffic as well as the ping traffic to the host, or in this case the VM that we are going to spawn. Okay, now that we have edited the security groups, so let's go to the instances, and here we can try to create two instances. So let's call the name as test. We'll use the flavor M1 Nano. We have different flavors, but this is the smallest size available. That's enough for the Cirrus image that we are going to use. So we'll use boot from image, and we use the Cirrus option. From the access and security, we'll use the key pair one that we created. From a networking perspective, it's going to use the private network, and here the security groups is the default. So we'll just launch it now. Okay, so the two instances are created now. The first one got the .7 address, and another got the .6 address. So this is in the admin tab, so it tells which host these two instances are running. When you have multiple hosts that are part of the DevStack cluster, these VMs will be distributed across different hosts. So the another thing I wanted to show is from the networking perspective. So here we can see the both the hosts that are part of the private network. So these are the two hosts that are present. Okay, now that the two instances are created, there are two ways to access the instance. So first is we can go inside the instance, and here we can look at the log file in terms of if there is anything failed with the instance itself. And then the console uses the VNC access to the VM. So here we can log into the instance. So we're using Cirrus and Kubswin. So we can look at the IF config, which shows the .7 address that we saw before. We can also SSH to the instance from our host machine. So here the host machine has a route to the 10.0 network using the router that we saw before. So for this we can use the key pair that we created earlier, and we use Cirrus, and we specify okay, so correct the typo here. Okay, one thing we need to fix is the permission for the key pair has to be 600. So let's fix that, and then let's try to SSH. Okay, so now we are able to SSH. So the same as what we observed in the VNC. So let's try to ping the other VM, which is the .6 VM. Hooray! So we're able to ping the two VMs across each other. Okay, so the next step we'll do is we'll demonstrate these Cinder Service, which is basically the volume-based storage service. So first we'll go to the volumes, and we'll try to create a 1 GB disk here. So we'll call it as volume 1. And for volume source, we'll use the image so that we base this volume for a Cirrus image. And for availability zone, we choose Nova, and here the size we have put it as default. So let's create the volume. So one thing I noticed is the Horizon doesn't, at least I could not find an option to directly attach the volume to the instance. So basically I want to attach this volume that I created to one of the two instances that I have created here. So basically I have to use the CLI to attach this volume to, let's say, this instance. So there are two things that is needed. One is the image ID of this instance, and then we need the volume ID. With that we'll be able to attach the volume to the instance. So basically this is the image ID, and the volume ID we can similarly go to the volume and get it. uh, to access this, basically all the things that we can do with Horizon, we can also use the CLI to do that. So normally what I do is I go to the devstack directory and I first source this script with the user as admin and the demo as the tenant. So once I have done that, pretty much I can do all the commands that I can uh, do everything that I can do with the Horizon interface. So here I can see the image list, and I can also see the two instances that I have already created, as well as I can see the volume that Cinder has created here. Okay, so here we found the volume ID, and here we have the instance ID. So using this command, the Nova volume attach, I attached the newly created 1 GB volume to the instance. So now if I go to the volumes in the dashboard, I should be able to see the fact that I have attached it to this instance. Now all we need is to see this volume in the instance. We have to mount this volume. So for that, first we go to the instance. So we don't see the dev VDB. So first what we'll do is we'll make a directory for a test mount, and then we would do a mount the VDB new volume, the Cinder 1 GB volume that we created, into the test mount directory. So now if I do df, so I can see this new volume that we created, and I can go to the test mount directory. Yeah, so I'm able to access the volume that I have mounted. Okay, that ends this series of video. Thanks for watching.